What's up, everybody? Let's Talk Jets Radio. Hope you guys are doing well. Happy Sunday. Pretty sure we're down to 6 Sundays now until the start of football season. Can't wait for Carolina. This is just a quick video from yesterday. Apologies for the late recap. I drove right down the shore right after camp ended, met up with Tyson for the concert at the Stone Pony, which was an awesome time. Rise Against was phenomenal. Definitely not as heavy as I thought it was going to be, but still just a wild, raucous kind of atmosphere. I always love being a part of, environments like that. So great time. Thank you, Tyson, again for bringing me out there. But to training camp, interesting day. I know Tyson touched on it in his video, where it was kind of an uneventful day, not really a whole lot to take away. In years past, and maybe this is a good thing that, Saleh is doing things a little different, but in years past, it was always a lot of, wide receivers versus cornerbacks, running backs coming out of the backfield versus linebackers, and then you'd kind of progress to 7-on-7s, then work your team drills, go red zone drills. You'd have the O-line versus D-line doing the cowbell drills and all that. And yesterday, pretty much for the entire first hour, it was a lot of guys just, going up against air, working technique. There were some individual drills. You had tons of special teams work. So really not a whole lot to take away during the first hour. Then they did a little bit of teamwork, then went back to more individual and special team drills, and then they finished up probably the last 20 minutes or so back to team drills. So I want to say it was only about 30 minutes or so where it was, offense versus defense, and it's still not full pads. It is only day 4, so you want to get your guys acclimated. You want to avoid injuries, so you can understand things like that. So I'm not going to, criticize the way Saleh's going about training camp or anything like that. It's still very early in the process. I'm excited, though, to see what happens next week when the pads actually come on, to see if it's a little bit more of like a disciplined type of camp where, you hear him and other coaches yelling a little bit more. I think that was something, I wanted to see a little bit more of. But yeah, definitely looking forward to that next week. As far as players go, Zach Wilson, we were watching him a lot the whole time. You definitely notice the arm strength, the quick release definitely stands out, especially when he's standing next to like a Mike White or a James Morgan. You notice the ball get there a lot quicker, and that's no disrespect to James Morgan because he had a phenomenal day. He was throwing dimes all over the place. He had one nice ball down the seam to Tyler Croft, had another deep ball to DJ Montgomery for a bomb for a touchdown. So he looked pretty good, some pretty good arm strength. You see some mobility as well. But for Zach Wilson, his team reps were a little bit more up and down, and it's, not a knock on him. The first rep, he kind of bobbled the snap a little bit, then threw it away while he was still in the pocket, probably intentional grounding. Might have even been a sack before he got to throw it away. Then he came back, though. He hit Elijah Moore, I think, 2 throws later for that deep ball for a touchdown. That was also one. I know the clip circulating out there. Jets are probably pissed about that. But I know the clip circulating out there. If you watch it, you can see that was probably a sack as well before he got that ball off and was able to step up in the pocket. But again, it was still a phenomenal throw. You see the arm strength and everything, and you can definitely see why people get excited, especially on a lot of those quick throws. The ball just gets there so quick. He did a few of those to Berrios, a few out routes to, I think it was Keelan Cole, Corey Davis. So, you see the ups and downs. There was one ball that was really bad, like a wobbly floater to Tyler Croft. He got some mock boos for that one. And then he came back. He hit Elijah Moore with the laser right after that. So it's going to be a process. It's going to be ups and downs throughout much of camp. I think that's to be expected. But like I said, though, James Morgan looked pretty good. So if he can keep that up, he may indeed have an inside track at that backup job. May not be a need to bring in a veteran. Who knows? As far as running backs goes, Michael Carter and Tevin Coleman, they both look pretty good. Nice cutback ability. Didn't really notice Perine as much. I think there was one run that he had that was pretty decent, but other than that, again, it's hard to tell with the running game. It looked like the defense was kind of stuffing most of them at the line of scrimmage, but again, when you're not in full pads, it's very hard to get a gauge as far as whether or not it's like a 3-yard gain, 5-yard gain. When a running back does take 15 yards, would he have been tackled 5 yards prior? It's hard to get a gauge on those things, but. A few other guys that stood out. Carl Lawson, any doubts that I had about him are very quickly going away. The way that he's been working Becton has just been crazy. You noticed it on probably about 3 plays in a row where, he just blew right by Becton. Another play where he, went right up on the inside of him, got right to the quarterback. And each time Becton was being coached up by John Benton after each play. You could tell he was a little bit frustrated, but in the long run, I think this is going to benefit him a lot. Working up against Carl Lawson every day instead of Jordan Jenkins last year, which is no disrespect to Jenkins, but I think Carl Lawson's just on a different level as far as the pass rusher goes. A few other guys that stood out, Elijah Vera Tucker, he looks just fast as hell. Not as big as Becton. When you see them standing next to each other, you're like, oh shit, he looks kind of small, but he's quick as hell, still powerful. Was excited as hell to get practice started. He threw his helmet, had some jet chants going with the fans, so that was cool to see. It was also cool with Saleh, what he did at the end of practice, where he gave a little speech to the Jet fans, followed by the all gas, I shouldn't say gas, all gas, all gas, no gas. I think Leah said that, all gas and no break, and the fans did the no break part, which was pretty cool. So, again, the atmosphere, the vibes, you could tell the fans are really excited. But again, just as far as, different things to pick up from certain players, not really a whole lot. Nobody really stood out at cornerback. I know, I think it was Justin Hardy that had a nice breakup in the end zone for the last play of camp. But nobody else that really stood out. Denzel Mims, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, rattling off names. Denzel Mims, he had one nice catch. Jason Pinnock, I know they posted the highlight. He had a phenomenal interception. I think it was a ball that was deflected off Mike White, and I think he was like on the ground, did a full extension, reaching back, got the interception, got up, ran it back for a touchdown. So that was a real nice play. But other than that, I really can't think of anybody off the top of my head that stood out for anything real positive or negative. So stay tuned. I should be there Monday, should be there Wednesday as well. Hopefully the pads are on and we have some more news. So talk to you guys later.